So now we'll go towards the rear area, and you can start to see on the left where the grade starts to slope significantly, and that's where you start to see our cast stone base sort of emerging out of it. And then we have trees here that are part of Mr. Bowler's landscape plan that were shown not only foundation plantings, but significant trees there. That this shows them at a state that I believe is somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 5 years growth from the date of planting. So now let's go back more to the rear, and we'll look down on top a little bit. We'll move Vale out of the way so we can manipulate our camera. And what you see here is the slope, and then the trees, the extensive landscaping that is on the slope, and then there is our amenity deck. What's also important to note is that behind there's a gray wall, if you will, at 1 story. There is a private terrace behind that. So we gave a privacy fence for those in that private terrace, which also has a view of the oval area. And stop right there. So this is not unlike a view from one of the units inside the Vale building, which you can still see the reflecting pool. And clearly our building is not too close to the reflecting pool. It's going to cast shadows on it and such. It's also important to see here that, again, from the height, and we're up probably 3 stories tall from our camera's point, that again, we're not seeing the rooftop equipment. But if you tilt it down a little bit, you can start to see there's the rooftop equipment. Again, we're locating it in the middle whenever we can to give it further away from the edge so that it will help us to disappear. You can start to see some places like in this brick corner on the left where we have a higher parapet wall, and we did that to help break up the mass and provide some interest and such. All right, and then we can see we do have a couple of louvers here, but they're importantly at the garage. They're not facing directly to the Vale building. Generally speaking, from the main brick wall where we have the lighter colored brick across to the Vale building, across the area there, it's about 91.5 feet. So it's significantly set back. And at its closest point on those 2 diagonals, that we were part of the engaged conversation with the Vale people, was that scales about 44 feet across the diagonal in that area. So now we're going to turn the corner to the southeast elevation, if you will, and let's go down a little bit lower. All right, so there you start to see that there are some existing trees, a clump in that location behind the creamery lot, and that's essentially the extensive gravel / paved areas that is the creamery lot. What you can see here for the first time now is our garage piece, and when we twist it around, you can see it a little bit better in perspective. Our garage by ordinance is located on the property line, but we took the main window wall of the building and recessed it back 10 feet. So at this location here, we do have a metal roof over top of that garage projection. You can also see a little bit into the garage area there as we enter. And then that car, excuse me, is a car that will show turning off of the existing easement, turning into the creamery lot. On this elevation for the first time, and because of its length, this is a longer wall, we're using brick, not in its entirety, but we're using it in select areas to help break up the mass. And this is where we have introduced the vertical siding, the vertical fiber cement siding. So we'll turn it a little bit further to the left, and we'll go around, and now you can start to see the general massing. There's not much detail. That's the creamery and the salon buildings. And then you can start to see when you come down all the way here, and now we're going to look down the driveway. And now you can start to see a white car that is exiting our driveway under the building, another white car that is going down the inbound driveway, and then there's that blue car at the far end that's turning into the creamery lot. What's important, let's twist it back a little bit because I want to see these louvers here. What's important to show is that in between the two drive aisles. There you go. In between the two drive aisles, we did introduce some metal louvering effect because we felt it anchored the upper portions of the building to the ground a little bit better, as opposed to just leaving the brick columns or stilts, if you will. Okay, so we can pan back a little bit, and then there's our retail component, and you can see there's projecting forward, subordinates the back rear mast by 22 feet, and then there's the cleaners. We didn't articulate the cleaners in its full color. We're just representing it in black and white at the moment. And then there's the 126 building. And then down the sidewalk, there is our entrance canopy as you walk down along that area to our vestibule. And then that canopy will also spill to the left, so that it's very gracious, provides people coverage. You're outside the building, and then there's the space in between the buildings and some landscaping at that location. So let's just kind of go into, so now we're going to be into